Welcome, you're one-on-one with Wesley Sports Guy here on YouTube and online all the time at wesleysportsguy.com. Before I continue, make sure you subscribe and hit that Liberty Bell button if you want to get continued content on this YouTube channel, and make sure you bookmark wesleysportsguy.com as well. There is postseason previews, recaps as well, along with weekly reviews in the NFL for every single week that has been happening in the NFL regular season. And also we got hockey preview, basketball preview coming up as well. Stay tuned for that. But let's dive right into it here for episode 30 with yours truly. First off, Drew Brees is now the all-time passing leader in the NFL. He has well over 71,000 yards passing in his NFL career. He's going to continue to play, assuming, for the next maybe 2 more seasons after this one. He might even go 3 or 4. Who knows? But he could prolong that record for a lot longer than Peyton Manning had it once he passed Brett Favre, who was the record holder, passing Dan Marino years ago when Brett Favre continued to keep playing and playing and playing. And we thought that was a bit, overzealous on his part. But when you look at quarterbacks nowadays, they are continuing to play well into their 40s and staying relatively healthy for the most part. And that's because the rule changes in the NFL. That's become a passing league. You no longer have the rarity of a 5,000-yard passing season. It's becoming commonplace, and especially 4,000-yard passing seasons. Those were rare in and of itself, but they're becoming all more common, and that's the NFL, and that's the way the league is going right now. And there's it's nobody's fault but their own, and that's what they want, and that's what they're getting right now, and people seem to be okay with it. I'm okay with it. It's a bit of a nuance going forward with the NFL, but again, that's what they want. They want a lot of high scoring, very little low scoring affairs, although this year has been kind of a little bit of a good example of that when you've had the Cleveland Browns winning a 12-9 affair in overtime, getting their second win of the season. But I digress. Drew Brees is your all-time passing leader. Is he going to hold on to that record for an extended period of time? Who knows? Who knows? Tom Brady is the closest one that's going to come close to breaking it, I should say. He's just a shy under 5,000 yards right now in his career. He's easily going to get over 70,000 before his career is all said and done. But as it is right now, Drew Brees is the guy. He's right there at the top. And not just this record alone, but overall his entire career, Drew Brees will definitely go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. There's going to be some asterisks probably coming into some of these quarterbacks with them playing in the current era that it is right now, but take that out of the equation. Drew Brees is still considered one of the best of all time, with or without this record. And just recapping the postseason in Major League Baseball real quick, we've got the Brewers and the Dodgers in the National League for the NLCS, and in the American League starting this weekend, it's the Boston Red Sox and the Houston Astros, a semi-rematch of last year's division series in which the Houston Astros just trounced the Red Sox. It wasn't even a close series by any stretch. Going into this weekend, Game 1's pitching matchup between those two is going to be Justin Verlander for Houston, Chris Sale for Boston. That should be a great matchup to start that series, and these are the two best teams in the American League the entire season all the way through. Houston was at the top for a little bit, but Boston just train wrecked everybody, and they ended up winning 108 games, I believe, to get the top spot in the American League. As in the National League, the Milwaukee Brewers being the top spot in that league, getting it on the final day or 163rd game of the season, if you will, by beating the Chicago Cubs. They swept the Colorado Rockies, no issue there. Now they're playing the Dodgers, and it should be another good series as well. The Dodgers, being the defending National League champions, want to get that World Series ring. That's eluded them since 1988, and there's a possibility you could have a rematch of last year's World Series with the Astros and Dodgers, but as it is right now, it's kind of a toss-up. Brewers, the hot team, 12 in a row, including the Game 1 victory in the NLCS just the other night against the Dodgers. That was a barn burner, if you want to call it, where the Brewers almost gave it up. But looking at it, that series as a whole, the Brewers don't have the starting pitching to match with what the Dodgers can, obviously. But the bullpen is its mainstay right now. Milwaukee's riding that bullpen all the way to a potential World Series berth and possible victory. And the trend in baseball has been, if you have a great bullpen, you can do whatever you want with it. And you most likely could win some pretty close and decided victories in the postseason in recent memory. Time for the segment that won't take life too seriously. Do you remember?
You remember?
Do you remember when Jackie Robinson was playing in Major League Baseball in the late 40s and going into the early to mid 50s for the Brooklyn Dodgers? Well, I don't. I don't know if you do, if you were around in those times, living in New York, Brooklyn to be specific, or just watching Major League Baseball in general at those times. But if you are, you most likely remember the times when Jackie Robinson went through essentially hell to play a game that everybody loves and still loves to this day. Why am I bringing up Jackie Robinson? Well, I watched the movie about his playing time in his first year with the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1947. The movie called 42, aptly named after his jersey number, who has been retired in all of Major League Baseball, the only player to have that honor in the sport's history. The reason why I watched that movie again was just kind of taking a step back in time with a comparison of what's going on today when it comes to civility. Now, why am I bringing this up? Well, it's because when you look at not just politics or social issues, things that are just a little too far out of my spectrum when it comes to this channel and what I want to discuss with you on a weekly basis, but in a sports realm as well, civility is becoming just a little too out of whack right now. And you look at this movie and the way it portrayed actual events of what happened to Jackie Robinson, namely, the most telling one was with then Philadelphia Phillies manager Ben Chapman, who just said every word you could ever think of in a horrible manner to Jackie Robinson during a hotly contested game, you could call that, but also when Jackie Robinson was up to bat and playing in the field. He definitely rightly got chastised for it, Ben Chapman did. And then there's that famous picture of the two of them wearing, or not wearing, but holding a baseball bat of short time later, either I think it was maybe a few days or a couple weeks, whenever they played again. But anyway, they supposedly made up. Ben Chapman, of course, not the nicest guy in the world, and he got rightly chastised for it. And the reason why is because no retaliation was coming from Jackie Robinson himself. There's an old saying called churn the other cheek. And that's basically what he did that entire season and pretty much his entire career. That is why he is admirably admired by every single person to this day, even well after his passing as well. Major League Baseball continues to honor his life and his legacy every single April when the beginning of the Major League Baseball season gets underway to celebrate his inclusion into Major League Baseball and the greatest game that we love and continue to love to this very day. Now, I look at that example and I see some parallels going into it this time around, not to that extent of the racial divide. I don't see it that bad. There's still some of that out there, unfortunately. But as far as civility goes, we just need to take a step back, respect one another, and know that, yes, in a sports realm, we do root for our specific teams and specific players. And yes, there might be some animosity back and forth, but it's all in good-natured fun. Let's enjoy it while it lasts. Let's enjoy it while we can as well. But going forward, I think we need to kind of look back at that example and see going forward that Jackie had it right the entire time. Put it all out there on the field. Let them judge you based off of how you're playing, not by how you appear. That's what matters going forward. And it's a perfect segue into my feel-good story of the week that involves an Oakland A's fan and a New York Yankees fan becoming friends. Now, when you look at this picture with Oakland A's fan John Spencer and his new friend Chris, who is a Yankees fan, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because during the wild card game between the Oakland A's and New York Yankees, there was a somewhat viral video that I'm not going to share with you because it's against everything that I hold dear as far as civility goes when I just spoke previously about Jackie Robinson. But anyway, in the video, Chris ends up spilling a beer purposefully on A's fan John Spencer in the video. And of course, John Spencer had the look of kind of shocked and not really, just sadness or anger, just more shocked than anything. Like, really? I'm going to get beer thrown on me for wearing an Oakland A's jersey? But regardless, they did make up. The Oakland A's also reached out, and they're going to hook him up with some free gear, bring him out to a game at Oakland Coliseum next year when the A's play whomever the opponent's going to be. Maybe it's the Yankees. Who knows? But regardless, they did meet up, John Spencer and aptly named Chris, who threw the beer on John. But they, like I said, had some beers. They also went to the division series game between the Yankees and Red Sox. And of course, as you can see in the picture here on Twitter via John Spencer's Twitter handle, they had a beer there as well. So this is the beer summit for you folks. Two guys not really hating each other. It's all about fandom, and I get beer gets spilled, whether it be purposefully or accidentally on people, but if you can have a result like this afterwards and two guys end up being friends over it, okay. That's a great example of being civil with one another, and that's why I want to show that to you this week, coinciding with my opinion with Jackie Robinson and the movie 42, which, by the way, I cannot highly recommend enough. It is definitely one of the best, not just sports movies, but one of the best put together movies of a true story and true events that I've seen in quite some time. So give that a shot. 42. I highly recommend that. Plus, it's played by Chadwick Boseman. Great actor, by the way. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you hit that Liberty Bell and subscribe on YouTube and bookmark the WesTheSportsGuy.com page for all the previews and reviews coming in the very near future on that website. I will see you next time for episode 31.